Can't just talk about it, actually got to do it on this week's episode of Implicit Bias. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome in to the crew. In the top secret podcast lair, we hope you're having a weekly whiskey with us. A reminder of who the crew is if you're on the radio side. We're going to start with a quick shot of Caleb Morse. He is the Rustic Renegade. We're going to talk to him in just a moment about the Armory Project, as well as play What Would You Pay for the Championship Belt Chain, which is sitting at the bar, where we have Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist who, yes, has the What Would You Pay. And as you see, it is a true championship belt chain that someone will wear here for the rest of the show, as well as Brian Harmon, who we need a nickname for him. His might be TMI based upon the text that he sent me earlier today about what was going on at work. Maybe that's his nickname. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out. Off camera, you can't see him, but they're making the show work, and we've got to thank, well, at least one of them. We've got to thank Aaron, who is making video happen. Walker, we would like to thank, but he is also better off dead. It's also his nickname. He is the Implicit Bias Pledge, who has not worn his pledge pin now in a couple of weeks. I'm just letting people know. So if you want to chime in, if you're watching on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, on Insta, which is where you can go find the show, please remember, follow, like, share. It really helps the show. You can also comment and tell Walker, which, by the way, that makes me think we're going to have to find a way to get some pictures of Walker. And I don't just mean like regular pictures. I mean like compromising pictures that we can put on social media so everybody can know what Walker looks like. Caleb, you think you can?
I've got an idea. I do.
I do. Yes, I knew you would. Thank you. That is our former intelligence expert at work. All right, so let's play What Would You Pay before we get to the topics of the week, where we're going to solve the problems of the world. Let's start at the bar, gentlemen. What would you pay for this Ghost Wood barrel proof at 114 proof?
I'm thinking 45. But one of the things I wanted to say about Walker, since he's got a grown-up job now, that's why I think he figured he doesn't have to wear the pledge pin anymore.
No. Actually,
I think that's what it is.
I forget it when I'm coming in. I'm coming in hot. So I do forget it every time.
You can't forget the pledge pin.
It's actually
you cannot forget it.
It's at my house, on my bedside table. So it sleeps next to me, but I just forget to
Dude,
bring
you
it.
should keep that here in your office.
I always used to keep it here, but I brought it to Mr. Lester's, and it's just been sitting at my house since then.
There's such a good girlfriend joke there, but I like your girlfriend, so I won't do that to her. All right, back to the bar. What would you pay Mr. Harmon?
I'm going to go with $55.
$55. All right, Walker, what about you?
53.
53. Caleb Morse.
Ooh, $68.
$68. All right, we have a winner. And we have a winner that is 1 penny away from what this bottle of Ghostwood barrel proof costs in the Implicit Bias Weekly Whiskey Partner Network. $54.99, which means, Mr. Harmon, you are the winner at the bar. You get to wear the What Would You Pay championship belt chain for the remainder of the show. Congratulations, and we hope that your back is not in bad shape.
I actually have a question. So maybe we should call you like Brian Party Pooper Harmon, because as an insurance agent, would you suggest we have someone sign a waiver for the lead and the weight in that thing? Or
in complete honesty, this is the first time I've held it. It's ridiculous.
And there's probably more than one reason to call him Party Pooper is his joke.
It's the Mr. T starter kit.
Yeah. It is. All right. Okay, so we now have that settled. Brian Harmon will wear that for the rest of the show. I love seeing that on him on camera now. It just makes it so much more worth it. Okay. To the Armory Project. This is something that we need to discuss because this is a serious topic, and it is words that have been spoken here on the show, words that Caleb used to say before the show, and it's words that we've really all said with regards to our veteran brethren, because you never want someone utilizing a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And Caleb, you were featured on CBS Evening News for helping people avoid just that.
Yeah, and y'all can go see the clip to see how kind of it started, but the gist of it is I got tired of saying somebody should help, somebody should do something, and I've said it before, is I am somebody, I'm someone, so if someone says someone or somebody should intervene, I will be that person. And it started off just as a way to help a friend or friends in need. As word has gotten out, we've now held plenty of firearms for over 50 people.
For those who don't know, Caleb's gun shop
Yeah, so
is set up now legally to take
Yep.
weapons for those who are worried they might do self-harm and hold them for them until they feel better.
part of the backstory, we had vets bringing us firearms. They were like, "Look, man, can you hold these while I kind of figure out life, while I get my head right, while I try to figure out what's going on? I just don't want them in the house right now." And I said, "Sure, we'll do that." And talked to one of my lawyers, and he was like, "You should not do that, Caleb." He goes, "If you give them back to them, that's a big liability." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean if? Like when I give them back to them? They're not my firearms. They're their firearms. I don't want them to lose their rights. They've done nothing illegal. They've just lived life. We all, at some point in time, don't feel like we're on top of the world. And it's a very real thing, and it's something that we as men kind of just push to the side. I mean, if you ask any one of us in here how we're doing, what's the generic male response?
Good.
I'm
Fine.
good. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Great. How
And yeah, and the reality of it is, like, some days I feel like running headfirst into traffic, and we just keep it in, we hold it, and we think, look, no one cares. And man, I care.
This is a great topic, Caleb, because it is, and veterans are burdened probably more than most men because they usually carry a lot with them, especially combat vets. They carry a lot with them that maybe, I don't want to say normal, but the average man doesn't necessarily see with regularity. But I can almost guarantee you, and I'll be a little transparent here, guys carry a lot of stress. Real men, which is one of the things we talk about here on this show, and I'm curious if y'all want to chime in. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but real men carry a lot of responsibility because you wake up every day and your thought is, I have to provide for the wife, the children that I've brought into this world, and I've got to make sure they have it better than I had it. That's what a real man does. And I've got to make sure that I do everything that's moral, ethical, and legal, but shy of that, to die early to make sure that they have it better.
Well, and then with it, like when we have our bad days, because we all have bad days. I mean, and today I was a horrible husband for a little while. I snapped at my wife. I spoke to her in a way that I never should have spoken to my wife, a manner in which I would not tolerate anyone ever talking to my wife or anyone else's here spouse. And I did that. And I carry that with me, and I'm beating myself up about it. And we have to acknowledge that these things happen. And sometimes we need to say, look, I need a timeout for safety. I need some help. And that's the role that we play in this, is we're here to help. We helped get a law passed here in Louisiana where it removes any implied or explicit liability with us holding on to a firearm for somebody. Because I want to give you your firearms back. I don't want red flag laws. I don't want all this other stuff. I don't want you to lose your rights. I want you to keep the firearms that have been in your family for one generation, let alone 1,000 generations. And that's what Louisiana wants. And since then, Texas has talked to us, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Arkansas, Mississippi. We're talking to some people in Georgia. And we're trying to get this to go to other states to where it benefits you. Because when we talked to other gun shops that were interested in it, they were like, man, it sounds great, but I'm not going to risk everything. Because not everyone is as bullheaded as I am. Because I'm sure, Brian, if you had my insurance policy at that time, if you'd have looked at it, you'd have said, Caleb, don't do this. I mean, that would have been the right thing for you to say, and I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. And not everyone is willing to do that. Not everyone's willing to risk everything they ever built to save someone's life.
What I think becomes really difficult is going to be, as word of this gets out, you're going to start hearing from not just a few people that you know, and I'm sure you're starting to experience this now. You're going to start to hear from lots and lots and lots of people. Because even those who haven't necessarily been through combat, it's really easy to go through basically a major depressive episode, 6 to 8 months where you're overstressed, you're not eating, you're going through all this stuff. Been there, done that, came through the other side, right? And sometimes those people, just to be smart and just to be wise, will reach out. Renee, you want to chime in?
Yeah, Caleb, I got a question for you. I know primarily you're looking out for vets. If there's a vet out there that find themselves in that situation, What do they do? How do they find a participant in the Armory Project?
So the armoryproject.org is our website. You can go there and you can see the other partners in the state of Louisiana. There are 13 other partners right now. I have held the most firearms in the state. And there are other places that are partners that can't hold firearms, right? They may be a home FFL, a home federal firearms licensee. And what they would do is they would take your firearm in and then ship it to me.
So they can.
Yeah, they facilitate everything, and then
it's true.
Because
They would have an
space.
FFL, and
Yep.
you have an FFL, so they can basically transfer.
yeah,
it to
they would
you.
just transfer it to me,
And then you can
and
store
then I
it.
can store it because I have a little more space.
Right.
I have 4 safes dedicated just to this program.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it, I am not. We're not exceedingly well off by any means.
No, but you're doing what's right.
I'm-
You're doing
and,
what's right to help somebody out.
There's a cost with it, and I've resigned myself, and I'm okay with the fact that I will absorb that cost because we talked about having funding. We've talked to the VA because the VA gives us very little oversight with this because we wanted a little oversight. We've wanted to have a clinical psychologist, Ms. Gallus True with us, who does that, and then she kind of helps keeps the ball rolling, but. We didn't want to get grant money or anything else because with that becomes the government fingers.
More strings.
Right? So we don't want to give up names. We're not going to give up names. We're not going to give up what kind of firearms they are. And we operate in the legal parameters that we have to make sure this works. And no one needs to know who you are at all. So that's the thing that we do. This is not every shop can say, look, I'm going to do maintenance on these firearms. I'm going to clean these firearms. I'm going to just absorb the cost. So if they can't, they have us to lean on, and we'll make it work.
That experience, that ability to actually walk the walk, not just talk the talk, how has that helped you deal with things in your life? Because my guess is that the real, I don't want to say the benefit, but there is a fringe benefit of doing the right thing, which
There
is
is.
you probably have something to come out of this, a lesson at least learned at the very least.
And the God's honest truth, I think my eyes started twitching. The God's honest truth to it is it's helped me feel more fulfilled because I feel like I'm doing my man-like, my God-like, my Christian-like duty of helping mankind. But at the same time, it helps me with my own internal problems. I have very unhealthy mental health solutions. I don't know if that's the right way to word it. I help other people instead of helping myself. So instead of going and doing the due diligence that I should do and digging down and really fighting and facing my demons, I try to help more people. And everyone that I talk to, the psychologist, the psychiatrist, everyone else, they're like, Caleb, that's not healthy. We have to work through this. You need to focus on you. And I'm like, I'm too busy. And I'm too busy to do it. If I slow down, someone else isn't going to get the help they need, and I'm okay for now. And I spoke to someone the other day. I spoke to someone today too, and I need to slow down, and I will slow down. And I know that what I do is unhealthy, but I also know that what I do is worthwhile.
Don't worry. I'm sure not just the crew here in the Top Secret Podcast layer, but the entire Implicit Bias family, we all got you back. Speaking of which, we will be right back on Implicit Bias.